Hello, this is Bino. Welcome back to my channel. I'm an arborist and a tree climber specialist, and what I like to do on my channel is share tree climbing tips with beginners and experts. But today I'd like to do something different. I've got a video on a piece of equipment that we've bought at my work. It's an SC802 Vermeer Stump cutter, also known as a stump grinder. Well, in this process, I met a guy named Lance Barker from RDO. He asked if we wanted him to come in and do a training on the equipment. I thought that was great. And normally what happens on the training is that they come in, they just run over everything, what it does. But Lance did more than that. He actually performed and he showed us how to do it. My crew was able to operate it. So it's a video of all of that happening. Also, what I like with this video is to share it so people who are interested in this equipment see what it is, and people who know nothing about what a guy who operates it does, they'll get a view into what the operators have to do in order to operate it. Let's get to it.
Go over the new SC802 tow behind stump grinder you guys got, and it has a remote control option, so we'll go through all the functions with that, make sure you guys are comfortable. When I do a walk around on a piece of equipment, I normally start from the front where it hooks up to the truck, go over that. Looks like everything's good on it right now except for one thing. You guys see it? No? The breakaway cable, right?
Yeah.
It's not connected.
Exactly.
So that's a safety thing. You guys want to make sure you're hooking this breakaway cable up, not to the chain. Okay, right here, not to the chain itself. You guys want to hook it onto here. Because if that chain drags, say you put that chain too low and it drags and rips off, that breakaway cable is not going to do its job either. Okay? Not saying you would do this, but if the guy forgot to clasp the pintle hitch from a long weekend,
How do you know that?
okay, he's going to the job site and this thing bumps off and that breakaway cable is not attached, this thing could roll and hit a car. It could potentially kill somebody. I mean, it's definitely something you guys got to be conscious of and thinking every time, like, what if this thing was to crash into my family? Right. You know, think of it that way, okay? So breakaway cable serves a purpose to stop the brakes if that ever happens, okay? But you got to hook it up the correct way, just like that, not connected to the safety chains, and don't ever use it as a substitute for wheel chocks on the tires. Okay, if you guys need to leave the stump grinder for whatever reason, say you got to go dump a load of mulch or something and leave the stump cutter there at the job site, and say it's on a slope, okay, always chalk it with either rubber chocks, which I'm sure you guys have. If you don't, you guys should get some, or a piece of wood from the removal you're doing. Okay, I've heard of stories where guys have, not particularly on stump grinders, but it would work because it's tires. They've pulled out the breakaway cable as a substitute, and then after 20 minutes, it'll kill the battery. So as soon as that battery dies, those brakes unlock again, and the chipper rolled down to the hill and rammed into a car. Okay, so it's all stuff that, you know, you're like, oh, that's not gonna happen, but it can happen. You know, just be conscious of it. It looks like everything else is good. You guys have the chains crossed, perfect. You got your plug hooked up, you got your lights, always check your lights, make sure you got your brake going, your running lights, your turn signals, all that stuff's working, because someone behind you's got to be able to see what you're trying to do too. As far as something else to watch for, this pin right here, okay, controls the lock for the tongue. Okay, when you're grinding stumps with this machine, you extend the tongue out as you're working your way through the stump, okay? And that pin is what locks that tongue from extending out while you're transporting the unit, okay? When you're grinding, you take that pin out so you can extend it out while you're working your way through the stump. When you're done, you bring it back in, pin it, and you're good to go. Okay, that's what that's for. Always inspect your jack too. Make sure the jack's not, you know, damaged and it's going to work correctly. I believe there is a grease fitting on that too to make it easier. Your battery access is right here. Okay, there are a couple grease fittings, I think just one in here for the pivot. Okay, to extend the boom up and down for the mechanics. Make sure you guys are hitting that one. Anywhere, basically there's a pivot point, there's going to be a Zerk fitting to grease. Alright, which you also have a lubrication chart on the actual operator station. If you guys haven't looked at it yet, that's where it's at. Easy to find. Guys filling up the machine, it's right here. This is where your diesel tank fill up is. You have a safety curtain right here. You guys want to bring it out as much as you can, not while you're driving obviously, but when you get to the job site, you guys want to use this to help with the chip containment. Okay, so it just locks into place just like so. Even if you guys are using the remote control, okay, I know when you have the remote, it's easy. You just pull up, you bust out the remote. I know you have this as well, which is great, but this will help with the side chips. You know, if you guys got a lot of pedestrians driving by, that's gonna save a lot of heartache and potentially an accident if you guys put it out there. Okay, and all you would do is just pull these down, and then only thing to watch for with that is if you guys have a monster stump, which is probably rare but can happen, you're gonna have a huge pile of chips. Just make sure that thing's not getting drug underneath too much, or the wheel's not getting close to it where it's gonna chew it up. You're going side to side. Make sense? As far as this side, you have your air filter to clean out. This is something that don't rely just on those guys to do. I know that's their job, is to maintain the machine, but you guys have obligation to do it too. This dust bowl is going to fill up, okay, depending on what you guys are really doing, what kind of stump you're doing. Different debris will have different reaction. Just a wing nut on top you undo, and this whole canister comes off, and you can dump it when it's full. As far as the air filter access, it's this tab right here. You would pull it to the side like that, just like your chipper. You got an outer filter, which is the one that you want to clean. Just with a backpack blower would be fine. You guys want to try to avoid using a compressor just because you could rip the paper. Okay, but just if you are, just be careful. And then inspect it, make sure it looks good, and then leave the secondary filter inside there, and you can clean out around it, but don't pull it out, just so you don't risk contamination of the engine. Okay, once you're done cleaning this one, put it back in there. Make sure it's in there snug. And this is important too, make sure when you're putting this back on, it slides in there, and lock it to the right. Okay, a lot of guys just slap it on there and call it good, and then they lose it, and then you're gonna see it the next day with a garbage bag over it. Okay, and then lock the yellow one, and you're good to go. Right here you have access to your oil filter, your dipstick, oil fill. Okay, it is a Deutz diesel engine. You guys are going to want to service it first 50 hour. Okay, it's going to need to have the engine service completed for break-in oil, and that's complimentary too for you guys. So let me know when it's getting close to that. If you want me to pick it up, we can do that. You guys want to drop it off and I bring it back or whatever, we'll coordinate that. But that's what the interval is. After the initial 50 hour, it's every 250 hour for the engine service. Okay, that doesn't include the air filter and all that. You guys got to be checking that sooner than that. Okay, and greasing a lot sooner than that. I think it's every 10 hours on most of the Zerk fittings. As far as the kind of grease you want to use, high temperature lithium base grease is the best. The bearings and just the climate we're in, it gets hot, so the black axle grease, that stuff dries out, doesn't do the job. So make sure you guys are using a high temperature lithium base, not a moly based grease. You guys come over on this side, you can see the cutter wheel. Notice on the top it says your spec for the actual nut going through the tooth. So that one's 150 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, that you guys want to make sure those are torqued at. Especially while it's new like this, I would check it maybe in a week of usage. Check it after a week, make sure it's still torqued right. And then as far as the guys using the machine, visually inspect this. Okay, make sure all the teeth are there for one. Make sure they're not damaged. You will have wear and tear like anything else, right? But especially if you know you hit something. If you hit some rocks, you hit some concrete, something like that, at the end of the day, or right then really, you should shut it off. Check the machine, look at the wheel, make sure there's no cracks, make sure there's no damage to the wheel or the teeth. If anything is missing, let these guys know so they can address it, because it's going to throw the whole wheel out of balance if the teeth aren't right. Okay, it's designed this way for a reason. You have plunge cutters, that's what these ones are. Those are going to make the first impact. Okay, and you have your side cutters too. So best advice I can give you when grinding is don't take too much. Okay, everybody is like, oh, it's a badass machine, you can, you know, rip through the stump, and it will. Okay, especially when it's new. But taking too big of a bite is just going to wear out everything else sooner. Okay, it's not good for the engine, it's not good for the wearables. Overall, it's just not good for the machine. So what I would recommend, starting out, as you're getting used to the machine and how it operates, take an inch bite, half-inch bite at a time. Okay, how I was taught to grind, everybody does it different, but I was always taught to take the top off first. Okay, so work your way through the stump, through the top to ground level, and then as you're passed through the stump, then lower on the way back. So it's basically you're going through it once and coming back once. So work your way through the top to ground level, get past it, go deeper, and then work your way back. So it's just one through pass there, one through pass back. That's the easiest way to grind a stump, unless it's just a monster stump that you got to hit a couple different angles. Okay. If you guys notice this wheel, it's a new style that we came out with at Vermeer. It's called the Vermeer cutter system, VCS cutter system, and it has no pockets. So the older style Vermeer system, the yellow jacket teeth, they have pockets on both sides, and then the teeth go inside the pockets. And then you'd have to replace the teeth and eventually have to replace the pockets, more maintenance on the pockets, and a lot of times guys would run them so much that you'd have to torch them off at the end just because they couldn't access them to take them off. So this system has literally one bolt going through both teeth, no pockets. They're still reversible, so once this side wears, you would just flip these teeth and then you still have two sides of wear. Okay, that makes sense?
Yes.
So like I said, make sure you guys are checking the wheel end of the day or before you start grinding. Make sure everything's there, everything's torqued down, and you know, that's pretty much it. As far as the side of the wheel, the system's also different in that it has wear plates that protect the core of the wheel. So if you notice, these have these huge plates right here. Those are a wear item in the future that the mechanics would replace to protect the actual wheel itself. Okay, so as long as you guys aren't taking too big of bites all the time, it's going to take a long time for those plates to wear out. But if you're taking, you know, huge 3-4 inch bites every time, it's going to go past the teeth and wear out that plate sooner. And these guys are going to be like, hey, what are you guys doing out there? All right, so that's something to look for. You want to keep this down. Okay, don't tie it back because it's there for a reason. It's going to help save a lot of chip containment throwing everywhere. I know if you have to get up to something close, that's the temptation, is to tie it back so you can. Just be very careful if you ever have to do that. I know we all have had to do that at some point, but keep it down. It'll go up on its own when you're grinding. Just try not to lift it up all the time because it's going to throw chips like crazy. All right. On this side, you have your operator station. So again, another pin. You pull that pin to lift this out. It will lock into place right there. Okay, you have great visibility to the stump right here as the operator. You also have another curtain right here that's gonna save your shins, especially if you like to grind in shorts, which I've seen customers do.
Casual Friday.
Casual Fridays, exactly. So, yeah, make sure that that's down. That's gonna help with the chip containment and then also protecting your legs. As far as actual controls of the machine, very simple. You have the first switch right here is between toggle switch between the operator station or the remote control. So if you guys are using the remote, you gotta toggle it to the remote. If you're using the station, toggle it down to the operator station. Right here is your throttle switch to throttle up the engine or idle the engine. Okay. The next one would be for your wheel engagement, your clutch engagement. You always want to do that at idle speed, just like with the chipper. You wouldn't just slam the chipper in. You engage that clutch slowly, right? So same thing with this. Keep it at a idle, engage it the wheel, and then before you turn off the machine, you would throttle it back down just like the chipper. You're going to throttle down the engine before you disengage the clutch. Okay. You also have two sensor switches right here. The first one right here is to let you know that the wheel is engaged. Second one is operator presence. So what that is this machine has sensors in both these handles that let the machine know that you're there at the operator station. If you take your hands off that these joysticks right here, what it will do is this light will blink for about a second, and then it will automatically shut off the wheel. It'll throttle down the machine first, and then it's gonna stop the wheel for safety. Okay, because they figure you're not at the station now, no reason the wheel should be going if you're not behind the controls. Okay, you don't want to use that as a substitute to throttling down and disengaging the clutch manually. It's there for safety, so don't get in the habit of that's how I shut off the machine is. Take my hands off, let it disengage. It's already going to idle down and then I shut it off because it's wearing out those components faster than you doing it manually. It's there for safety. Okay. As far as the joysticks, the one on the left is going to be raise and lower of the boom of the wheel. The right one is going to be your sweep, left to right. The middle one is your creep control. So that's what I was talking about, the tongue extending in and out. Okay, that would be controlled by this middle one. So when you're grinding, you're right here, raising and lowering the wheel and sweeping, and then you have push up to work your way through the stump, or back to work your way back. All right, that makes sense?
Yeah.
And here you have the remote control storage. Okay. Looking at the remote control, guys, you can see it looks a lot different than that, but same principle. Okay, your left joystick right here is going to be your raise and lower function, which is up and down. So I think up would be lower the wheel, down is raise the wheel, and then your sweep is side to side. Okay, or no, that just the extension of the tongue is side to side. So left one is raise and lower and extension and retraction of the tongue, and then this one doesn't have anything up and down. It's just your sweep side to side. Okay. As far as the controller itself, on power is right here. Your throttle switch. Okay, to throttle the engine, idle the engine. So throttle is rabbit, right? Idle is turtle. You can cycle through different functions on the display with this one, or go back with the arrow. The stop is emergency stop. Okay, that's what it's for. Don't use that unless it's an emergency, because it will kill the engine right away with the wheel engaged and everything, because you need that function when you're using a remote control. Okay, don't have a kill switch on this other than the manual turn off the key, right? But this is gonna automatically shut off the engine and everything. And then the last one right here is your engagement of the wheel and disengagement of the wheel, your clutch engagement. Okay, don't worry about these buttons, they don't have any function. So pretty simple. When you turn on the remote, you would toggle, or you would turn on the remote first. It's gonna ask you for a code. That code is just 1, 2, 3. You can see at the bottom those 1, 2, 3, that's all it is. That's the code, and then it's gonna try to sync with the machine. That's where you have to go over here and then toggle it to remote, and then it's gonna pair with the remote control. Okay, you still have to manually turn the machine on here, and then manually turn off the machine after you're done. If you do an emergency shut off, okay, it'll shut off the engine. I believe you still have to shut off the ignition key, or it will kill the battery. Okay. Any questions on that?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Like I was telling you guys earlier, for the mechanics, your lubrication and fluid chart is right here. Should also have it in the manuals that came with the machine. You have a service manual, parts manual, operator's manual, all that stuff. When you're using the remote, another thing is always make sure you guys got the right safety gear on. All you guys are wearing the right stuff, but especially if you can get a face shield like he has, that'd be the best. And then you can really get close and, you know, have great visibility, and you're protecting yourself too. All right. On this side, another access to the engine as far as your filters, and then the hood. There's 2 latches on either side that'll raise up all the way if you need to access the top, you know, access the radiator, whatever it may be. Another very important thing right here is your transport lock and unlock. Okay, you guys see this red pin right here behind all these hoses?
Yeah.
That transport lock, okay, is locking the wheel from going down. That's another one you never want to forget, okay, especially when you're about to drive, and have it unlocked. Because as we know, anything hydraulic is going to lose pressure over time. So think if you're driving and that's unlocked, okay, that boom head could lose pressure, and you're driving 60 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour, and that boom hits the ground. What do you think is going to happen? Could flip the truck, could be, you know, catastrophic. So that's always a safety item. Always check that at the end of the day. Make sure that it's in the locked position. So it would be pointing this way for locked, and then when you're grinding, you're going to turn it over to unlock.
Back toward the wheel.
All right. And then to lock it in, you got to raise the boom all the way to the top.
Raised and centered?
It's up to you, but centered is preferred, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
That makes sense, you guys.
Yes.
No, it does. I was just telling him that on this one, it's too close to the hydraulic hoses compared to the other one.
Yeah, it is.
When you unlock it,
It's not easy, yeah.
it hits.
It's not easy. You're gonna have to manipulate it a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just the way they routed it. So I don't know. Maybe if your mechanics can find a better way, but I think it's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, any questions on what I went over through that? No? Okay. How do you want to approach the next part? You want me to grind a little bit, and then these guys take over?
That'd be great. That'd be
Okay.
great.
Do you want to use the remote control first, or do you guys want to do the operator station? What do you guys prefer?
The station?
You want to start with the station?
Cool.
Okay. All right. Let me go get my helmet real quick.
Cool.
It's it's not connected.
Exactly.
So that's a safety thing. You guys want to make sure you're hooking this breakaway cable up, not to the chain. Okay, right here, not to the chain itself. You guys want to hook it onto here. Because if that chain drags, say you put that chain too low and it drags and rips off, that breakaway cable is not going to do its job either. Okay. Not saying you would do this, but if the guy forgot to clasp the pintle hitch from a long weekend, okay, he's going to the job site and this thing bumps off and that breakaway cable is not attached, this thing could roll and hit a car, could potentially kill somebody. I mean, it's definitely something you guys got to be conscious of and thinking every time, like, what if this thing was to crash into my family? Right. You know, think of it that way, okay? So breakaway cable serves a purpose to stop the brakes if that ever happens, okay? But you got to hook it up the correct way, just like that, not connected to the safety chains, and don't ever use it as a substitute for wheel chocks on the tires, okay? If you guys need to leave the stump grinder for whatever reason, say you got to go dump a load of mulch or something and leave the stump cutter there at the job site, and say it's on the slope, okay, always chalk it with either rubber chocks, which I'm sure you guys have. If you don't, you guys should get some, or a piece of wood from the removal you're doing, okay? Next, you? Yeah. Okay. So you saw what I was kind of doing, right?
Yeah.
I could have gone lower. I wanted to leave a little bit of stump left for you guys though. Okay. But like I was saying, so the operator light is gonna, it's hard to see right now because of the sun, but that's lit up. Okay. So you want to make sure it's at idle, not throttled up. Your hand's here. You'll hold that button up to the top. That's gonna engage the wheel. Then you throttle it up, and then your raise and lower right here, and your sweep side to side is here.
On the throttle, does it always have to be the max?
No,
Or depends on the stump?
depends on the stump. If you're doing something soft, you know, but this is a harder one, I would keep it max. Okay. And then this is gonna be your extension in and out. Okay. connected right now. So in wheel engagement, make sure it's at idle right. And then mess up the machine with the remote behind the station, so you're more in control behind the operating station. Make sense? And there's no operator pressure, right? Until you turn it off. Again. Down. Oh no, I'll have to check. I thought it did, but I'm not seeing it. But anyway, it's connected right now. So in wheel engagement, make sure it's at idle right. And then
this is to engage it. Up and down, and then left and right is to go. And then this is the sweep. This goes left and right to sweep.
hey, good job, man. You're good. So,
Not normally.
Honestly, you guys did excellent. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've dealt with a lot of cities, and I'm really impressed with you guys. You guys picked it up quick, and I could tell you guys are safe operators, and you took the advice I said, and good job.
Cool. Here. Woo.
No, I'm serious, man.
I'm happy.
I've seen a lot of bad operators, man, and these guys are really good.
So this is a proud moment. I'm happy.
You trained them well, man.
Thank you.
I can tell they care.
They do.
You gotta look at it. This is the city's equipment, right?
Yeah.
This is all everybody's equipment. So you gotta respect it that way. A lot of people don't look at it like that, but this machine's down, these stumps are getting taken out, it's happy for people. What is this for? That's when your cycle you need to be greasing, and it's about every 10 hours it says. Some are 50, some are 10, some are 250. But overall, anywhere it's gonna pivot, you guys wanna make sure it's being greased. And that's really on those guys. You guys aren't gonna be running it more than 10 hours in a day. Maybe a couple hours if that.
Right.
So once a week or whatever, if you guys have a lot of stumps, tell them, hey, we use it a lot. Can you guys grease all the pivot points for the machine?
Okay.
What you guys should be checking is the teeth to let them know, hey, it needs to be replaced. It's got damage. You can see it easily could have hit something and damaged the tooth. So I would recommend getting some just to have.
All right.
And whoever's transporting the machine, make sure they have a couple teeth if they had to. That way they're not stuck out there with a grinder with chipped teeth,
Gotcha. So even having a chipped tooth isn't recommended to use. We got a kind of, is it like a shutdown kind of thing?
Case in point.
Yeah.
It's like the chipper, right? If the chipper's got a couple dull knives, you might be able to finish a job, but you need to replace it as soon as you can.
Gotcha.
Right?
So for a whole
run it
set,
if it looks like it could come off.
yeah,
Let's put it that way.
For a whole set of those, how expensive is that?
You could buy it per tooth, but I think a full set is maybe like 600.
Oh, okay, like
Something
600.
like that.
Okay, cool. It might be good. to have
In
a
today's
spare.
economy, double. I don't know.
Oh, maybe right.
Remote?
About 5,000.
5,000.
Remember?
Right. Yeah.
But it's worth it,
5,000.
man.
Yeah.
Look at how
No, you're right. It
how
definitely
easy
worth
it
it.
makes that.
Did you hear that?
5,000 for the remote.
So you guys better take care of it.
600
Yeah, we do.
for the teeth for a set, no?
Yeah.
I think we should ask for 2 sets already. So missing 15 teeth on the other one, it wasn't recommended to use it?
Thank you, guys.
I didn't hear nothing, man.
It was on video.
No, and then I'm
What
like,
happened?
Luckily, it was a teachable moment, and not a tragic moment, right? We've all had them, so some more than others.
I've had lots in my time.
But Lance never told us to do that.
That's why do you think I start with that? Right? It's like this is the basic right here. I'm not responsible for what you guys do behind here. So
Exactly.
This is what you guys gotta do. Well, thank you guys. Hopefully you learned something out of it. I try to do as thorough as I can.
No, very good. We appreciate it, and yeah, we definitely didn't want to do something that would ruin it, right? And like I mentioned on our last piece of equipment, there was just something small that we didn't know that it kind of messed up something, and it's good to know this.
And honestly, I prefer to do it on a job and do it in the field where it's going to be used than doing it at the yard and trying to explain it.
Awesome.
It's the same, all right?
Yeah.
And maybe when we get the chipper in, we do the same thing.
That'd be cool.
Do some trimming and feed the machine and go over all the safety stuff out there. I think everybody gets more out of it, and I enjoy it more too.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks. My favorite. My allergies are gonna be going crazy. Cool, thank you guys.
Thank you. I think you appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. You got
Thank
my
you,
number
Lance.
if you need anything else, okay?
Thank you, Lance. Well, that was the SC802 Vermeer. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I really like a video like this because we can always reference back to certain points that was explained, and I think it's awesome to see it in action. And having Lance Barker come out and show us, that was actually an awesome situation where that doesn't always happen. And I really appreciate Lance coming out for this, and I hope you guys all enjoy the video. Comment, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you like what we do, and by all means, share our videos with your friends. All right, take care. We'll see you next time.